Cheesecake is currently number 2 in the world using this 2.6 Royal Hogs Cycle Deck. And he'll teach us how to play this deck, but also we're gonna push to number 1 in the world live. Into the first replay, and it's against 2.6 with Ice Spirit too. So going back to the classic, I've seen a couple of people use the Electro Spirit in this deck. 2.6. What's the matchup looking like?
So I asked one of the best 2.6 players, and he said it was like 70-30 for them. So it's a pretty hard matchup, but I get a lot of good chip damage early on because one of my favorite plays with this deck is always just Royal Hogs right away. And especially if I have Earthquake in cycle, I just hover it. And if they place a building, it's going right down to get some early chip damage. Because with this deck, you got a bunch of cheap defensive cards that you can just get positive elixir trades for.
So single elixir is money with this deck. Going aggressive is money with this deck. Royal Hogs first play is the best. What's the second best play out of the gate? Is it maybe just cycle to your Royal Hogs or Earthquake your opponent's tower?
Yeah, I usually just cycle Earthquake or cycle Skeletons, E-Spirit, and then go Hogs.
Gotcha. And then like for this matchup, is it single lane? Do you ever split the Hogs, or do you ever split the Hogs in any matchup?
The only time I literally ever split the Hogs is if one of the towers is maybe at like 300. I just want to like chip it down with like one Hog and then the other 3 go the other lane. Or if I'm against Mega Knight, because then they feel obliged to like not use their Mega Knight on the Hogs and just spend 2 different troops in 2 different lanes, which gets a lot of chip damage, which is nice.
Gotcha.
But that's the only time I really ever split Hogs.
So in this, even though your opponent has a Fireball and a quick Fireball cycle deck, you're still going to go Royal Hog same lane?
Yep.
Okay, good to know. And that's because they have to use Fireball and something else, so it's almost like an even or positive elixir trade?
Yeah, in this matchup, they can't let that like 2 Hog hits chip their tower, so they have to use Ice Spirit or Skeletons.
Gotcha. And like, what's the on defense, like optimal defense against these Hogs? Is it, or the Hog Rider, is it just Hunter Log, Hunter Skeletons, or whatever you have in hand, Royal Delivery? If you need to use it, use it. What's the best?
In this particular match, I think I used my Hunter a total of 0 times. So what I like to do versus 2.6 is they like to go with prediction fireballs on your Hunter. So you can always use it like the first time, but once you get to the second and third, the best defense is just use a bomber and switch up your bomber placements and then delivery log and E-Spirit, and it should clean up a Hog Ice Golem push completely. And they don't expect you to just keep using bombers, so they get a little bit lost. They don't know what to do with their fireballs.
You confuse the Hog Rider play. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I like it too because that also makes it your cycle, like you playing all these cards instead of just playing one bigger unit. The Hunter makes it so you get to these Royal Hogs quicker, and again, Royal Hogs come down on the right side, and every single time Earthquake is, usually you were going really early with the Earthquakes there, you hesitated a bit. Is there a situation where you don't want an Earthquake?
If you're at like 8 elixir, sometimes you want to like wait until you recoup for a little bit, because if they go with a Hog Rider right when you're about to Earthquake and then you have 0 elixir, that's getting like 2 hits. Those 2 hits can take your entire tower sometimes.
Gotcha. So you want to put on the pressure, but at the same time you got to be cautious. If your opponent has a lot of elixir, you overexpend, and one Hog Rider could be, I guess, one Hog Rider could be the end. So it doesn't even look like the Royal Hogs are getting the majority of the damage. They're getting a little bit, but also these Earthquakes are adding up quick. And on defense, you're just consistently defending like an absolute. It's efficient, but yet effective. And it sounds like, I guess that's what you should do every time in Clash Royale. Easier said than done. The match looked easy. It comes down to a science almost.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, let's get to the next replay. Bang, 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 like a chicken wing into game number 2. And oh, you're on the top on my screen. I hate when that happens. It's so weird because I'm used to cheering for the player on the bottom. He's either me or my friend that I'm watching, the person I'm spectating. It feels like you're the enemy right now. But again, Royal Hogs right out the gate. This matchup is going to be a little different. There's a giant double prince. What's the way to win this matchup? Because totally different archetype, totally different deck construction from your opponent. Similar, different, what's the plan?
Yeah, so defense is actually super difficult. And pretty much the only way to win this matchup is by balancing your offense and defense. If they get a full-on push, like if they get a Mega Minion, Double Prince, Minor, Zap, you're going down. So
what do you mean by balance your offense and defense? Is it to like set up your defense, but like right now go in on offense, so use a little bit of defense?
What we're about to see here is I go with a Hog, so he can't take out my Hunter and take out my Hogs at the same time. And then if he goes with a Fireball on the Hunter, and my hogs will just like pretty much take his entire tower.
Gotcha. So you want to like kind of make it force him to spread out his elixir on both lanes and not build this big push. Is that what you do against all beatdown matches, like Lava Hound, Golem? Okay, that's good to know.
That's what I do against all beatdown matches. And this matchup, you don't really want to use your hogs every time you have them in cycle. You sort of want to wait until you mess up their cycle. Because if you go in when they have Dark Prince Ewiz, they're just going to Dark Prince Ewiz, and then if in double elixir, they're going to put a giant in front, and then you just lose the game. Because they just have too big of a push.
Gotcha.
So you kind of just want to play passive in single, and then just go in when they're on offense.
But doesn't it seem like that's going to get worse in double and triple elixir, where they'll be able to play more units, build bigger pushes, and isn't that going to just overwhelm your hunters and bombers? And
so as we'll see in double, the bomber is just so good because you can cycle so many so fast, and they just don't have infinite miners, they don't have infinite fireballs. So
Earthquake cycle coming in. So going with the Earthquake instead of the Royal Hogs here, is that just because of what you said before? If you go Royal Hogs, they play Dark Prince, they play Ewiz, and that counter push could be kind of threatening?
Yeah. So right here, he makes a mistake here. He goes with that Prince. That definitely shouldn't have been play there. He should have just committed to one lane and then just fireballed my hogs. So I clean up easily on the left here, and then I already know he's going to go on the right. So I place that bomber to where it will hit the left lane and the right lane, so it can switch over the lanes right after the other push is defeated. And look at this Prince, it just has no chance of getting past.
Bomber do be OP, you're right. So like that's the card. It seems like if you have a lot of options to play a card, the Bomber might be the best card to play at pretty much any time, at least on defense. Maybe unless there's like a balloon and Lava Hound coming at you, but if there's ground troops, it seems like the Bomber, low-key, I know it got a nerf, it's still broken, eh?
Yeah, I don't think that nerf literally did anything. It did
I don't even notice it.
People don't realize it yet because there's not much Bomber anymore in the top. But people haven't realized it yet. It did nothing.
Nothing.
It just decreased the range by 0.5. That doesn't do anything.
It's so good. And right now, you've been focusing on this left side. Is there ever a situation where if he starts focusing on that same lane, do you have to start playing opposite lane, or are you committed to this left side?
I commit, pretty much. And here, as you can see, my hunter's out of cycle. He goes into the giant, and then I go with the desperate Royal Hogs, and then to bait out his zap, because I know he doesn't have fireball in cycle. So with Hogs to bait out his zap, and then skeletons to DPS down the giant, so you can't kill it.
Gotcha. Otherwise, so you under defend a little bit, but you get damage in the process.
Yeah. And I go with Hogs here to delay, so I can cycle back to my Earthquake before he gets a giant down.
And so then you just go Electro Wizard here. So even though there's a big counter push, it seems like you can easily clean them up with Log, Royal Delivery, Electro Spirit, which is only 6 elixir. There's more than 6 elixir coming over the bridge. Yo, Royal Delivery might be underrated. I've been really roasting it as a bad card. Is it underrated to you?
I think it's underrated, yeah.
You heard it here first. Underrated card, Royal Delivery. Maybe start thinking about using it. So before I forget, just because my brain is small, long day, you know how it is. Do you think the Royal Hogs buff was merited? Like, do you think they should have been buffed, or do you think they're kind of broken right now?
So I think the balance guy doesn't really know too much about high-level gameplay. Okay. Because Royal Hogs were absolutely terrible in the last balances. But that was because of the meta. It wasn't because the Royal Hogs were a weak card. They were a very good card. It's just every game has Valkyrie, Tesla, Fireball, Dark Prince, Log, you name it. Every hard counters in every deck. E-Giant, Mega Knight. And 100%. Once they nerfed all of those, they nerfed E-Giant, they nerfed Royal Giant, they nerfed Tesla, they nerfed Drill, which had Valkyrie and Fireball in it.
Yeah, exactly. It was the Drill. I think the Drill was the big thing, because to counter the Drill, you needed to use the Dark Prince, you needed to use the Valkyrie, you needed to use the Bowler, you needed to use something, and every one of those cards I just said also counters the Royal Hogs. So it was just a bad meta.
Yep. Yeah, and then once those are removed, Royal Hogs become incredible.
Yeah, it's the same as Night Witch. Do you think the Night Witch was kind of the same situation where it was just good because everybody used Fireball, but then if people started using Poison and all these splash cards again, do you think Night Witch wouldn't have been as good as it was last season?
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting. I think I cut you off. You were going to say something additionally to those Royal Hogs. What was the addition?
Yeah, so they also decided to buff Bomb Tower, so I think they thought that if they buffed Bomb Tower, the Royal Hogs would still be weak to like, we'll split the Royal Hogs too, but that wasn't the case. In the last Bomb Tower meta, which was before the drill and before the balance change, before that with Mother Witch, Bomb Tower was everywhere, but Royal Hogs were still good, just because like you could just Earthquake it down, and pretty much you got Fly Machine, Earthquake, and you could just clean up the Bomb Tower. So I don't think the Royal Hogs stuff was merit.
So it sounds like right now what you're saying, you're #1 in the world, so you definitely know what you're talking about. Use Royal Hogs. If you're not using Royal Hogs, you should start. And we talked about the Bomb Tower a second ago. It's still, I know you said it's doable, but it's still not an easy matchup if you ever have a Royal Hog. So what's the play in this? Is it to outcycle the Bomb Tower, or is it to just go right through it? Earthquake the Bomb Tower, Royal Hogs as well, support it with whatever else you need. Is that the way?
For this matchup, you can't really outcycle the Bomb Tower, so you kind of just want to catch them on low elixir. That's like the only way to win. So what I do in this matchup, pretty much, is I make sure he can't go all out here. And here he does end up going all out, but I predict that he's going to put a miner on my Hunter and just auto-delivery it, so it one-taps the Hunter and then moves onto the Bloom right away. And then here I just
high-level
keep
gameplay
Earthquake cycling.
Crazy. Like it's basically like you're predicting what he's predicting, but you guys are like predicting each other. It almost looks like you guys are dancing. It looks like the samba, a little bit of the to and fro. Like that game looked way too easy. Like it didn't even look like he made a mistake. It just seemed like knew how to win that matchup. Did you only get?
Yeah.
How many trophies did you get for that?
17.
That's not that much. Bingo! So going into the last replay, going into the last replay, and it is going to be a mirror matchup against Wotop, but Wotop usually uses Royal Hogs Royal Recruits, but he's using the same deck as you. Is that because this deck is better than Royal Hogs Royal Recruits?
I think he was a little bit lower on trophies, so he just wanted to try something new, because he tilted a little bit, but I didn't know what he was playing at first. I was sort of confused. I was like, is he playing my deck or is he not? So I start this off kind of slow. I do go with the Royal Hogs, but I always do that every game. And I'm kind of just waiting to see what he's got here, and then I realize, he's got my deck. So the game plan for a mirror matchup is you want to see if you can get split lane damage and then go for the tower that's lowest. So the
split lane damage is by splitting your hogs, or is it by Gotcha.
First Hogs, you go the same lane, see if you can catch their cycle bad. And then the second and third, like, you want to use one of those to split them. Preferably with a bomber, and one lane a hunter and then the other. And then you split and see if you can get damage off those. So here I'm just going to see what he does. Oh, never mind, I actually go in. So I don't know if that was the right play there.
What time are you at right now? I feel like we're at different times.
I'm at 127.
I'm at 135. How did this happen?
Oh, we should probably restart the replay.
Okay, let's redo this. What are you? You're #1 in the world, and you don't remember that you can move in the replays? This is the future. Boom. All right, we're back. We're synced up. I don't know what the right word is there. So Royal Hogs coming in here. You didn't split. I thought you said you were going to split here.
Yeah. So if I'm going to split, I want to have like a bomber going in one of the lanes or a hunter going in one of the lanes. So I'm going to wait until I use one of those and then go with like a 3-in-1 or a 2-in-2 push with the bomber on one side and then just 2 hogs on the other.
I got some news right now. You're kind of getting slapped right now in this mirror match, and usually mirror matchup 600 damage is a lot more than it really actually means. So like, what's the I guess there's gonna be a misplay that he makes or a really good play that you make, and like, can you just make sure you point that out? Was that it? Right when the earthquake comes down, you go in with the Royal Hogs?
So what I did is I waited the last Royal Hogs before I played them. I waited a good bit of time, and the reason for that is because I wanted to try and bait out his log, because if he does not have log and cycle, it's really hard for him to defend all the damage from the hogs, and that's how I got my damage back. He was up like 800 damage, and then suddenly it's just a 200, 300 damage game.
Yeah.
And it's because I baited out his log and then went in the Royal Hogs. Because every time they're going to want to log, deliver your hogs, and that's just all your hogs are dead.
All right, good to remember. So when log's out of cycle, that's when you hog. It rhymes, so you know that's got to be good. No log, go with the hogs.
And then right there, what you saw is I cycled my Earthquake and then immediately went with Hogs. What this does is, if you cycle an Earthquake, they're not going to think, oh, he just uses Earthquake. He's not going to go in with his win condition right after he cycled a spell, right? But that's exactly what I'm going to do. It's because I'm going to I'm gonna make you think I'm not using my Royal Hogs, and
Interesting.
then you're gonna go in, and I'm gonna catch you with like 3 elixir, and you can't defend my Hogs.
I think
exactly
that's in
what
the.
happened.
You just quoted The Art of War, I believe. I remember I read The Art of War. It was an audiobook, but I'm pretty sure one of the things in The Art of War was to, when your opponent least expects to attack, is to attack, and you did exactly
Yep.
that. Did you? And then did he just give up at the end just because you had such a lead in the time to a tower
Yeah.
game?
So at the end there, I can give a little insight. Is my tower's at 127, so
All right.
and his Earthquake is the last card in the cycle there because he just used it.
Yeah.
So he has to cycle all his cards to get back to Earthquake, and what he made a mistake there is he's cycling them in the left lane.
Mm-hmm.
He should have been cycling in the back to prepare for my push, and he wasn't doing that. So when he's cycling all his cards in the left lane to get my tower down, I go in on offense in the right lane, while I only have to Earthquake his tower, which I haven't cycled. So I just roll Hogs right lane, then Earthquake his left tower to take it down, and he's putting all his stuff in the left lane. So I just take half his tower, and he gives up.
Wow, that's simple. It's crazy because
Yeah.
like saying out loud, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But if I was in that situation, I don't think I probably would have done that. This is not a drill. This is not a drill. Oh my gosh, I was not preparing for this. We have been waiting for what, like 45 minutes for you to get a match? I don't know if I'm ready for this. I'm nervous. Are you nervous at all? How are you feeling?
I'm a little bit nervous, yeah.
Do you know who this is? Do you know what deck?
He either plays Giant Graveyard or Royal Giant. Let's hope it's not Royal Giant because that hard counters me.
Ooh,
Okay.
that's
It's looking like Giant Graveyard.
Okay. Oh, Giant Graveyard with Dark Prince? Is that, since when is that a thing?
A few months ago, this drill guy. Yep.
Interesting.
Okay, bet.
Is
Take
this
these matchups?
so? What's the way to win this matchup if you don't know how to play this matchup like you, clearly, because you're number 2 in the world?
I said just like hunter every giant and make sure he can't like snipe your hunter with a musketeer.
And then
Like the
protect it
best
just
way.
with anything,
Yeah, 'cause
just with skeletons.
See that? Tried to snipe my hunter. Don't want to let him do that because I will lose the game.
And
And
then
you have to be aware.
defensive. I love the defensive EQ against the graveyard. A lot of pro players do that, but I don't see a lot of players just that I just see playing. Even like pro players, it seems like they do it sometimes, but not all the time. When do you Earthquake the graveyard? All the time, sometimes, depending on your cycle?
It depends on what's tanking for it and what I have in cycle. And what the, it's like, there's a lot of factors, but usually I'll just defend it if I don't have a reliable defense. Like if I have a delivery, it'll still get a lot of chip damage, and I don't want that. So
Good point.
I'll
So
just
like
go
in
with
that
Earthquake
situation, if you didn't use delivery and log on at the bridge, would you have rather used that on defense, or would you still probably use the Earthquake?
With this matchup, you want to always use your delivery on the giant because look at that again. He just tried to snipe my hunter for a second time with the muskie, and like I said earlier, I'm not gonna let that happen.
And you really are, you're okay with spending that 5 elixir every time, the royal delivery and the log on that musketeer.
It's that important.
Okay, that's good to know. That's really good to know. So it seems like the most important thing in this matchup isn't anything on offense. It's actually the defense and just keeping this hunter alive at all cost.
Yeah, and in this matchup, you don't really need to EQ cycle them, so I don't really need it on offense as much, so I can just like keep it for defense. Like right there, I'm just gonna improve my cycle a little bit. But we're gonna go with Hogs, and wow, I think he's given up.
No way. So wait.
Oh wait, or he lagged out.
Play possum? I've seen people do this. They wait for you to use a little bit too much elixir, and you overcommit a little bit, and then they just go in and take the kill. It's happened a couple of times, not always, but you got to be prepared for the possum. The possum is a thing. It doesn't look like it looks like this guy's actually he's rolling over. Well, this is the first time you've ever been number 1 in the world, correct?
Yes.
So I'm glad to be sharing this moment with you. I thought it would be maybe a little bit more epic at the end.
Yeah, me too.
But still pretty sick.
Pretty uneventful for number 1, but
you know what?
We'll take it.
Number 1 is number 1. Number 1 is number 1. Not only that, but I like that you got number 1, but you also got 7777.
Yeah, it looks kind of nice.
That's a screenshot. Royal Hogs are back! Definitely recommend giving this deck a try. It's super fun. Let me know how it goes, and if you enjoyed this video, feel free to check out this video over here. This is my new video. I'll see you guys in that video. Deuces. Waddle, 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 waddle.